Welcome to another Becoming a Modern Man. We are playing Modern Humans again, and this time we are running up against Death Shadow Zoo, or Suicide Zoo, I suppose it might be called. So this is our opening hand. This looks pretty nice against an unknown opponent for sure, and just pretty nice in general. So we've got on Iraq, you need to either turn to Kitesail Freebooter or Mantis Rider. And Mantis Rider attack for 4 is pretty nice. Taking on a play. So I like this hand for sure. Looks like a Street Wraith, plays a Blood Crypt, plays a Swift Spear, attacks for 1. So I haven't really seen much Shadow Zoo, so I wasn't entirely sure what was going on, but it certainly didn't seem like a standard red deck, so I had my suspicions that there was something like that going on. Just gonna run out Freebooter and then I can see exactly what's going on with our opponent's hand at least. So Freebooter pumps up the champion and get to look at this hand of our opponent's. Let's dismiss that. So, double mutagenic growth, dismember, become immense, and double Tarmogoyf. So opponent's struggling on lands, and it is possible they'll miss next turn, which is interesting. I think we just take dismember here. It's not likely they're going to be able to find the mana for become immense, so I don't think we need to be worried about that, and we could chump block if necessary in that situation. So I think we just take the dismember here. And I'm not too worried about the mutagenic growths. I mean, if our opponent doesn't use them next turn, then we can use Meddling Mage and prevent them from ever being used. Though I think I prefer Meddling Maging the Tarmogoyf under the circumstances. Attacks for 2. I think we're just going to take it here. I mean, we know that our opponent can mutagenic growth twice, but they've only got 1 mana, so there aren't going to be any double strike shenanigans or anything, so I think we're fine taking 7 here. It's not great, but I think it's fine. And our opponent follows up with a Death Shadow, so their hand is double Tarmogoyf, become immense. But we can actually deal with all the cards in their hand this turn, which is pretty nice. So we're going to be able to play Meddling Mage, name Tarmogoyf, so we won't be seeing those. And then the second Kitesail Freebooter here is going to be able to grow the champion and take become immense. So opponent's just got a couple of dead cards in their hand, which is nice. I mean, obviously they're mana screwed, so we can't be too proud of our of our achievements, but we are doing pretty well in this scenario. Going to attack for 5. It does grow the Death Shadow and put us at some risk, but ultimately our opponent is on 7 life. They have 1 land and the 6/6 Death Shadow. 2 of those cards are going to be Tarmogoyf, so it's kind of tricky. Like, if they play a land, then we know that they don't have anything else to play for the turn. If they don't play a land, then I think we're still in very good shape, because I don't really know of any cards that could win them the game from this situation that cost 1 mana. Anything that gives double strike costs at least 2 mana. Team of Battle Rage is 2 mana, or is a sorcery speed, so if it's at sorcery speed we can just block. So yeah, I mean, Assault Strobe would cost 1 mana, but it's sorcery speed, so we would definitely see it coming. So I feel fairly good about our position here. I mean, the ways we could die, I suppose our opponent could have drawn Street Wraith, and then they could Street Wraith into Street Wraith into Street Wraith. That's just enough to kill us. But the likelihood of that is very low, particularly given that we've already seen a Street Wraith. So I think we are fine just taking 6. It does turn out they do have a Street Wraith, but they don't manage to chain 2 more, fortunately. And then they run out a Blood Crypt, which has to come into play tapped. So we're down to 4, but feeling fairly safe. I mean, I suppose the other way we could have died is we could have been like bolted. I mean, we're still on 4, so no, I think I like not blocking there. We could have blocked, I suppose, and then we could have just chumped with the Meddling Mage, given that Tarmogoyf is probably not going to matter a whole lot, but it does give them a blocker at least. So yeah, we have the mana for Mantis Rider. Our opponent's dead anyway, I think. 2, 3, 4. No, not quite just dead, but close enough. And yeah, the Mantis Rider is going to finish things off. So yeah, we managed to lock our opponent out of the game after they got mana screwed, and yeah, Meddling Mage did a lot of work in the sort of locking the game down from there, which is pretty nice, and managed to wrap things up for us. Okay, so here we are looking at sideboard options against Shadow Zoo. So our deck's not really badly set up against this matchup, I don't think. A lot of cards seem fairly good. Thalia seems good as a way of just slowing them down in general. Meddling Mage as well can be an answer to their threats. And they're the cards that cause us problems. I think Champion's very good, given that they've got Swift Spear and Death Shadow as like some of their main threats. So I think we want to bring in the Auric Champions, Pro Red and Pro Black being very relevant. In terms of other cards, Dismembers certainly want to come in as well. I mean, basically their whole game plan is to sort of kill us incredibly quickly with sort of 1 or 2 creatures. So being able to actually have an answer and just remove one is pretty significant, particularly if they've pumped a lot of mana or life total into it by playing Mutagenic Growth, etc. So I think Dismember is very strong. Deputy Detention, bit of a liability. We know they've got Dismember, but I think again, just anything that answers their creatures is going to be fairly valuable. So that's another option for us. A Knight of Autumn's probably not bad either. I mean, the life gain option might be relevant in this matchup, just keeping us alive that little bit longer. In terms of cards we don't like in the main deck, I think everything's pretty good. I think Bugler's probably a little bit slow, potentially, and maybe the images. Maybe we can cut Image, because that's a bit of a liability in terms of their targeted removal. But otherwise, I think things are fairly good. We could bring in Damping Sphere. I suppose that is an option. I don't know how good that is going to be. It's probably a little bit slow, given their creature-based sort of attack strategy. But obviously it stops sort of them just going Mutagenic Growth, become immense, all in one turn. But I don't think I love that. So yeah, I think Champions, probably Deputies, and maybe Knights, but I think I would hold off on Knight generally. In terms of what we're cutting, it's kind of tough, and I actually think maybe cutting a Vial or 2 might be a good idea, just because it's not really that important how fast we are, as long as we're just answering their threats. We're kind of looking to be reactive rather than proactive in this matchup, I think, because racing them is going to be hard. But yeah, let's take a look at game 2. Okay, so here we are, game 2. This hand is not bad. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really hold a lot of answers to their threats, but it is a pretty good hand just in general. Double Thalia's Lieutenant, pretty nice after these early plays, and we've got Hierarch accelerators, so it seems too good to just shuffle away. But Inquisitions, they take Thalia, which kind of proves my point that that's a pretty good card for this matchup. Though I don't really know about them Inquisitioning. It seems like not a great use of their speed. guess it does clear the way somewhat. But they already know we don't have removal, so I question why they would Inquisition or leave Inquisition in for this matchup. We drew Reflect Mage last turn, which is good. And it is going to be good in this situation. We're just going to be able to bounce the Tarmogoyf and put them back quite a long way. We also drew Dismember, which is going to be useful as well. And the second one, which is pretty good. We're going to play Meddling Mage here. I'm not entirely sure we're going to name... Oh, we're going to name Tarmogoyf, of course. Yeah, so now we've guaranteed to stick that card in their hand. They couldn't play it last turn, and now they're definitely not going to be able to play it. Certainly, where possible, getting a Meddling Mage that definitely hits a card in their hand is nice. I tapped my mana wrong when I was playing Meddling Mage. I should have played the Ziggurat so we could keep up Dismember. So that was a mistake on my end. You've got to be careful of these things because some of your lands don't make colourless mana. So yeah, Ziggurat is one of those, and that was the wrong way to tap my lands for that turn. So here we're going to lead off with Dismember and then see where we get to. So our opponent can crack Bloodstained Mire and get a dual land. So to make their Death Shadow a 5/5, but that is not going to be enough in itself to keep the Death Shadow alive. So our opponent does just that, and then they cast Become Immense, I believe, which triggers the Paralyze on Soul Scar Mage. I decided not to respond with Dismember, but I think I probably should have done in hindsight because it just gets it out of Death Shadow out of the way. I was thinking that we probably aren't attacking anyway because we don't really want to attack into a 2/3 Soul Scar Mage because there's no point. But I then thought our opponent might draw something on their turn, which allows them to lose 2 life or more life. So I think in hindsight we should just double Dismembered straight off the bat. Didn't end up mattering. I stopped on their OP to do it because, as I say, they could draw Street Wraith or something and keep their Death Shadow alive. But yeah, that prompts a concession. Killing the Death Shadow has finished our opponent off. They're stuck with a Tarmogoyf in hand, and yeah, certainly things were going to be getting better for us the next few turns with the potential of dropping a Mantis Rider or a Thalia's Lieutenant to get pretty big. Yeah, that worked out pretty nicely, all told. This matchup seems fairly good. Obviously, they're creature-focused aggro, and we're a creature deck, so we can combat that. And we also have lots of nice disruption, so I think this matchup seems pretty good.